How are you, everybody? A little louder. How are you, everybody? Fine, thank you. Okay. So, after many rain, the sky is clear and blue, and the air is very fresh. So, maybe, can it stay that way? Okay. So, we have the book of the Sixth Patriarch. We are reading this book. This book is many kinds of teaching, many kinds of wisdom that we can find in this book. And we already studied through chapter 8. We just started chapter 8 last time. So we start with chapter 8. We review a little bit. Chapter 8, the title is The Sudden School and the Gradual School. Now, many of you already are probably you're familiar, you heard in Korean the word dono jomsu. This is sudden school and a gradual school. Yeah. Gradual school, not graduate school. Gradual. Graduate and gradual are different. Graduate school is where you go after you finished your bachelor degree, you go to graduate school, 대학원. Okay? But gradual means slowly, very gradual. So there's a distinction between the sudden school and the gradual school. Begin from the time of the Sixth Patriarch, and it's still continued to this day. There are still people who are arguing about which is correct, the gradual school or the sudden school, dono jomsu. Okay, dono jomsu. But Sixth Patriarch, when he was living, at that time, the two schools of Zen flourished. And one was the Huineng school of the south, and the other was a Shenshu of the north. Shenshu of the north. So these two schools, they became distinguished and known as the sudden, which was the southern school, and the gradual, which was the northern school. And the many students were confused. They did not know which to follow. That's because the southern school taught you get enlightenment suddenly, in one instant. But the graduate school said, no, you cannot get enlightenment in one instant. You must get it very gradually. Over a long period of time, much training, then you get enlightenment. But sudden school said, no, this one instant you awaken and you become enlightened. So these two schools appeared, and these two schools were fighting. Okay? But the Sixth Patriarch, he heard of this, and then he said, Dharma originally has just one school. Human beings have north and south, but the Dharma has only one kind. So students realize this either slowly or rapidly. What do sudden and gradual mean? And he said, Dharma has no sudden and gradual, but people vary. Some are sharp and some are dull. Sudden and gradual depends on the person, not on the Dharma. So this is a very interesting point. In the Dharma, there's no sudden and the gradual. Dharma, there's no fast and slow. There's no genius. There's no fool. But people have a genius and fool. Recently, somebody asked me, what's the difference between a genius and a fool? Well, it's not an easy question. How would you answer? What's the difference between a genius and a fool?
I think it's a karma.
Karma. Yeah. So the way I answered was, I said, which one do you like? Because some people have the habit of being like a genius. And some people have the habit of being like a fool. Some people like to be like a fool. But some people don't like to be a fool, but seem like a fool. So yeah, it's maybe habit and some kind of karma, but not easy to change. So human beings, because of their karma, their disposition, can be like the genius or can be like really like stupid, like the fool. But Dharma, there's no genius, there's no fool. In true Dharma, there's no very smart, very smart and he's very stupid. This is human being's nature to make that. This is the point that the Sixth Patriarch made. We all think, for example, oh, that person, they're very smart, they went to this university. That means all the people who went to that university are very smart and they all have a good habit. But it's not true. If you go to a really good university, like Seoul National University or like a Harvard University, you see not everybody's the same. Some people, they are very diligent, they work very hard, they study very hard. Some people don't care. They're foolish. So it's a people that make this habit and make the distinction between the very intelligent, very smart, and what seems to us like a foolish. There's a people do that. So the students of Shen Shi always criticized the Southern School's patriarch. They discredited him by saying that he was illiterate and nothing about him deserved respect. So does everybody understand the word illiterate? What does it mean? Tell me. Huh?
Not schooled.
Not schooled, cannot read. Illiterate person cannot read a book. The Sixth Patriarch could not read Chinese character, but he is known as one of the greatest monks of all time. He could not read Chinese. I don't think he could read English either. I doubt he could read Hangul. But he became known as one of the wisest and greatest patriarch, and the only patriarch who had the sutra written after him. You know that? Many other patriarchs had books written after them called like orak, orak, record, like a Linshi record, or the record of Unmun record. But only Sixth Patriarch have actual sutra written about him, like the Buddha. And he was illiterate. So the students of the other school, the northern school, they said, he cannot read, he's illiterate. He's not really great. They discredit him, okay? And, but their teacher, Shen Su, their teacher, he said, no, he's really my superior. He's my he can teach. He said, if I had a chance, I would like to go and study with him. I am unable to travel far. On the next page it says, I am unable to travel far to receive instructions from him personally. So the Shen Su, he wanted to go and study with the Sixth Patriarch Huineng, but he was receiving some kind of support from the state, some kind of money or some kind of help. So he could not go and travel with him. But he said, all of you students should go and learn from him. And one day the Shen Su said to his disciple, Ji Xiang, you are intelligent and bright. You must go on my behalf to Chao Qi and attend the Dharma talks there. Try your best to remember what you learn so that you may relate it to me upon your return. So a little bit, he sent one of his students to listen to the Dharma talk and record it like a tape recorder and then bring it back to him. And then the student, he went on his teacher's instruction And without telling anybody, he joined the assembly. And the patriarch, right away, he knew, oh, somebody here has hidden himself to steal my teaching. Yeah. How he knew that? He was very sharp. And immediately the Shisheng came out and bowed and told the patriarch about his mission. You came from Yukon Monastery, don't you? You must be a spy, said the patriarch. He said, you're a spy, a kanchop. You know what spy is, right? You know, nowadays in Korea, they don't look for spies so much. But when I first came to Korea 20 years ago, everywhere sign. If you catch spy, you get much money. So, you must be spy. No, I'm not. Why not? If I had not told you who I was, I would be a spy. Since I told you about it, I am not. This is very clever. He said, I'm not a spy because I told you who I was. This is kind of clever. But the patriarch asked him, how does your teacher instruct his disciples? He tells us to contemplate the purity of mind, practice sitting all the time, and not lie down. Then the Sixth Patriarch, he talked about that. He said, to contemplate on purity is an illness, not Zen. To sit all the time is logically unbeneficial. Then he said, listen to my poem. When alive, we can sit all the time. But when you die, you will lie without sitting. A rack of stinking bones, how can you depend on this for practice? So he said the teacher's teaching to sit all the time and to think about purity of mind and not lie down. He criticized that. He said this is not complete teaching. Nowadays, many people still think this is the correct teaching. Many people, even those people who are practicing in monasteries, they think, oh, you must always sit, not lie down, and always think about pure things. Many monks think like this too. Always think about the pure things, never lie down, and practice sitting all the time. But the Sixth Patriarch criticized that. He said, when you're alive, you can sit all the time. But when you die, you have to lie down. You cannot just continue sitting. So you cannot depend on this body. He is talking about sitting of body. He said, his point, we have to understand. The Sixth Patriarch, his whole teaching was, the mind is the master. The mind is the 주인공. So his whole teaching was, you cannot depend on this body. So if you only depend on sitting all the time, then when you get old, you get sick, you die, you have problem. Even you can sit all the time without lying down. There are many people think, oh, if you can sit all the time and think of pure things, wow, you're already a Buddha. Many people think like this. You know, in Korea, many people talk about that. You can sit all the time, not lie down at night, sit all night. It takes, of course, incredible effort to do that. Not easy. But we must learn not only to sit the body, we must sit our mind. This is a point he made. And then the Zhi Cheng, he remarked, though I have studied Buddhism for 9 years under Grandmaster Shen Shu, I never attained enlightenment. But today I hear just one teaching by you, and I have attained my original mind. Because of the great work of life and death, please have compassion and give me further instruction. And then he asked, how does the Sixth Patriarch, the Sixth Patriarch asked, how does your teacher talk about the three kinds of things, precepts, śīla, precepts, dhyāna, meditation, and prajñā? And he goes on to talk about that. how he talks about he stay away from all evil actions, practicing whatever good is prajñā, and purifying one's own mind is dhyāna or Zen. That's the way he teaches. But the Sixth Patriarch explains, he says, if I have some teaching, some dharma that I would give to others, I'd be deceiving you. This is a very important point. True dharma is not something that I carry around and I give to you. True dharma is something we already have. It's not something that one person carry around like a suitcase of dharma. The dharma is available to all people, but because of their mind, they don't see the dharma. Their mind is not clear and get in the way. All of you people have the potential of dharma. All of you people have the Buddha dharma. But when your mind is very small and clouded and worried and concerned and think about yourself exclusively, you have no chance of seeing the dharma. This is the point. So the Patriarch said, if I tell you I have dharma to give to you, I would be deceiving you. What I do with my disciples is liberate them from their own bondage with such methods as the situation may require. Name for that is samadhi. The way your master teaches śīla, dhyāna, and prajñā is wonderful, but my explanation is different. How can it be different, sir, when there is only one kind of śīla, dhyāna, and prajñā? Everybody understands what śīla, dhyāna, prajñā is, right? Precepts, samadhi, right? Kejonghe, Korean Kejonghe, śīla, dhyāna, and prajñā. Okay, and he asks, how can it be different? There's only one kind of śīla, dhyāna, prajñā. Only one kind. How can it be different? You know, many people ask this question. How can there be, different kind of Zen teaching? There's only one kind. Then he explained, the teaching of your master is to help the students of the Mahayana school, while mine is for those of the Supreme School. Oh, now you understand, little difference. There's already distinction between Mahayana school and Supreme School. Supreme School, what is a Supreme School? You don't know, right? Supreme School means the essence of Mahayana, the teaching of the Zen teaching of the mind. That's what he's referring to. He's talking about the teaching of the Zen masters, the teaching that is beyond the Mahayana, higher than Mahayana. The Mahayana is already very high teaching. You know, in Korea, when you go to Gangwon, you study all Mahayana, Gangwon. 4 years, Gangwon, then Mahayana, then all finished. Then graduate school, then maybe Supreme School. Long time ago, monks first went to Gangwon, study sutras, 5 years. Then after learn all the sutras, then go to the sunpang, sunroom. After finish the sutras. But nowadays, many people, after the Gangwon, then go to graduate school. Go to some more advanced research. A little different nowadays. Some people still go from the sutra school to the sampang. So sampang is considered the supreme school, most highest level. Okay? That means the school not dependent on any kind of sutra teaching, not dependent on any kind of doctrine. not depending on any particular doctrine. That's why he said outside of special teaching outside of the sutra, from mind to mind, from your mind to my mind. Okay? So then he said, the fact that some realize the Dharma more quickly and deeply than others accounts for the difference in the interpretation. You may listen and see if my instruction is the same as his. When teaching the Dharma, I never deviate from our true nature. To teach otherwise indicates an attachment to mere form. The function of all dharmas derives from our true nature. That is true śīla, dhyāna, and prajñā. So what he's talking about is, even when he is teaching, he doesn't deviate from his true nature. Even when he is teaching people, he has no illusion that he is the teacher, he is the transmitter, and they are the receiver. This is an important point. He is not putting on ego show. I am the transmitter of the Dharma, you are the receiver. He is just giving the, taking away, he said already here, my teaching is to take away, before he said to take away, liberate from their own bondage with such methods. Everybody knows what the method is, bangpyeon mul. He used a different method to liberate people from their bondage. Everybody sometimes gets stuck at some point. And you usually try to defend their attainment. So he can liberate, a good teacher can liberate the different people from their bondage using the different methods. And after he heard the teaching of the Sixth Patriarch, after the Sixth Patriarch read this poem to him, the Shi Chang apologized and he thanked the Patriarch for his instruction. And then he wrote his own following stanza. He said, the 5 skandhas are illusions. How can an illusion be the absolute? Thinking of returning to Tathata is an impure dharma. So, when we think about we are going to return to the true Buddha, that also is illusion. We have to leave all ideas behind, even our idea of Buddha. Our idea of Buddha is also not the complete teaching. So then a patriarch, he approved of his stanza, and he said, the teaching of your master on śīla, dhyāna, and prajñā applies to wise men of the inferior type, while mine are those of superior type. So he uses this word, superior and inferior. This is not really such a great way to say it, but without any other feeling, he says that, okay? He who realizes their true nature may dispense with such doctrines as bodhi, nirvana, and knowledge of liberation. So if you attain your true nature, then you do not have to think about nirvana and the liberation and all these things. And if you see your true nature, you are free to establish the Dharma or not. They are free to come and go with no hindrance. In any situation, they act appropriately and give suitable answers to questions. Your true nature can manifest itself in many different forms. Nirmanakaya. This is the freedom of psychic powers and the play of samadhi. The name for that is see your nature. We all understand this word in Korean, gyeonsang, see nature. That's what he's talking about. Then we go to the next page here. And we see after this, the Shi Chang, he bowed, and then he volunteered to be the patriarch's attendant. And in that capacity, he served him both day and night. So in the old days, if the master can teach you something, then you stay with him as attendant. You attend upon him. You serve him. This was considered the correct way to show your respect and appreciation of the master's teaching. Are there any questions today? No question?